All right, thank you for joining us. This is Business Today, and we are talking about the state of pensions in Kenya. And joining me right now is Jackson Wesonga, who is the head of pensions and insurance at Octagon. Thank you so much for joining us on Business Today.
Thank you.
All right, now just let's get right into the conversation. First of all, we usually talk about retirement and pensions. How early can a person start saving for retirement?
Thank you, Mr. Nyakundi. In terms of how early someone should start saving for their retirement is immediately, as soon as you get your first paycheck. So then that puts you at a time advantage in terms of the length of time that is accorded to you for saving.
Okay.
So for instance, if you work for 30 years, and you start saving immediately, then you have a whole 30 years to have accumulated and built your retirement kitty.
This is really insightful because, you know, many a times you say, I'll start saving for that maybe when I reach 50, 45 and 40. And this awareness is what people don't usually have. So, all right, now let's move on also and look at is there an amount that you need to start with, or you just start with any amount that you have?
Currently, there are different platforms that the industry has availed to us to enable us save for our retirements. If you are saving in an employer-based scheme, that is the typical occupational retirement benefit scheme, then it's going to be a percentage of your pensionable income. So that could be maybe a 5%, a 6%, whatever, a percentage that the employer has established. However, you can also save and participate in an individual retirement benefit scheme that gives you flexibility in terms of amounts that you can contribute and the frequency in terms of contribution. So you can contribute 1,000 shillings, you can contribute 500 shillings. I think the goal is making sure that you're regular in terms of your contributions and you be consistent. And then through the power of compounding, you're able to build your retirement kitty into a substantial fund that can make sufficient provision for you in your life in retirement.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, let's move on and also look at this issue of someone has worked, they've reached retirement, now they have this money that they want to invest. And you want to invest in a business maybe that you don't even have an idea of. Maybe you whatever you were working, for example, for the 30 years that you've mentioned, now when you retire, you say, okay, I want to set up a wholesale shop. And maybe it's something that you've never done before. So what are some of the better areas or sectors that people can invest in order for them to get good returns?
Retirement savings and to that effect, retirement planning is not just for me as a member, you know, getting the lump sum and putting it into an investment or a business that has come to my mind in terms of a business idea. You need to have been exposed in terms of, are you savvy about, you know, the nature of the business that you want to get into? Most of the time what I see is members of the retirement benefit scheme who have saved for a number of years. You've been employed, for instance, with KTN for the 30 years, and then you want to jump into a matatu business, something that you completely don't have any idea about, or you want to open hardware and you start running the business and you don't know, you know, the nitty-gritties about this particular business. So one of the things that we tell the retirees is that, first of all, if you want to get into a business and you have a business idea, join this particular business early enough so that you have, you know, sufficient time to learn the business, know its ups and downs, so that when you're getting into this particular business in full time in your retirement, you already know, you know, the nature of this particular business. Otherwise, what we advise the employees is the retirees is to convert your retirement savings into a regular income in form of an annuity or an income drawdown. Because you're used to a regular income when you're employed, you get a constant salary at the end of each and every month. So what you do is the amount that you have collected over the years could be $1 million, $2 million. You convert that into a regular income by exchanging the lump sum with a regular income from an insurance company in form of an annuity or from an investment firm in form of an income drawdown. And that way you are assured of a regular source of income. Yes.
All right. That very well explained. And now let's also move on and look at, for example, earlier on I was speaking about the NSSF, the amount that has been added on top that employers and employees need to contribute. What is the effect of this? Is it going to help in the journey of having good savings, or what do you think?
My view is that the objective of the NSSF Act is very good for us. First of all, if you look at the history or a bit of statistics about the pension industry, currently, in terms of assets under management, we are at around 1.5 trillion. And this has had a compound annual growth rate of around 14.4%, a 10-year annual compounded growth from the year 2011 to the year 2021. So in terms of assets under management, we have had a growth, but in terms of coverage, we are still not doing very well because we are at around 21 to 22% in terms of the employed population. This leaves a majority of the citizens vulnerable and uncovered. So with the current NSSF Act, that dictates that so long as you are employed and so long as you are under employment, and as an employer, so long as you have more than one employee, that means for you and I, maybe we could have a house manager or a shamba boy back at home. We need to register them into this particular scheme.
Yes.
Then this increases the coverage, and so that each and every member of the society is able to retire decently. So in terms of the objective, I think it is good. I'm sure, I know there are concerns in terms of the cost.
Yes.
For the employers. That is a different conversation. But in terms of the idea why we need to increase the coverage, I think it's a good place to be in. Yes.
All right, so we need to actually increase it for things to move around, or that's what you're saying, right?
Yes, you realize that in the past, before the implementation of the NSSF Act 45 of 2013, the private sector, a pension scheme was at the discretion of each and every employer. It's not a mandatory benefit. So my employer can decide to set up a pension scheme or not. So most of the employers had limited the contributions to, the 200 shillings mandatory statutory contributions that would go or would be sent to NSSF. If you do a simple math, let's say you work for 30 years, 200 shillings for the employee and 200 shillings for the employer, at the end of the 30 years, you'll have accumulated around 144,000. So you'll agree with me that that is not sufficient at all to cover your retirement needs and financial needs in your retirement. So with the increased rates, at least the members are able to, save substantially and make sufficient provision for them in their life and retirement. Yes.
All right. Now, let's also move on and look at now this, the finance bill, of course, the proposals that have come. First of all, what is your reaction to the bill? What do you think about it when it comes to where we are as a country and what is being proposed?
Of course, currently there is a very high financial burden for us, for the common mwananchi. And so with the increased taxes that has been proposed by the finance bill, then the burden is even set to go higher and be heavier, considering the cost of living that is already very high. So in as much as the government is looking inbound in terms of collecting revenue and making sure that it is able to finance its budget, I think we need to see where these taxes are going in terms of service delivery so that we can, have a connection in terms of how our tax is really working for us.
Mm-hmm.
So the collection bit of it could be good, could be a good idea, but we need to see accountability in terms of how the taxes are being put to use, so that the common mwananchi at the ground can really connect the dots, that whatever increase in deduction that is being done on my payslip, on the goods that I'm buying, is really working for me.
All right, and also let's look at the level of awareness that Kenyans have. Do you think we have the clear information of what we need to contribute? Because when you bring this issue forward, you find people are saying, okay, this is a lot, but from what you're talking about, when we increase it, at least it helps at the end of the retirement. You find that at least you have more money. So do we have the right information when it comes to the contributions?
We are not yet there in terms of information dissemination to the general populace, but I think from where I sit, the Retirement Benefits Authority has done a good job in terms of creating awareness. As per the good governance guidelines, it is currently a requirement that there has to be a member engagement policy that each and every scheme has to adopt. So in terms of engaging the members on a regular basis to help them appreciate, the need to contribute, the need to start contributing early, and so on and so forth. But I think even at on a global level, at the country level, the Retirement Benefits Authority has conducted several sensitization sessions to just try and educate the public in terms of the need to start saving for their retirement early enough. We are not yet there, but I think we are in the right direction in terms of where we are going. Yes.
All right. Now, when you look at this act, are there some loopholes that need to be filled? And are we looking at maybe this act being revised again? From where you sit, what do you think?
That I believe is the NSSF Act.
Yes, the NSSF Act.
Yeah, I would say I'd look at it from two angles.
Yes.
From where, let's say, you'd want to ensure that the coverage of pensions is widened, then you see, given that the NSSF Act makes it compulsory for any employee to register into this particular fund, then it's a good thing. And on the flip side of it, we have the private sector that has really done a good job in terms of fronting, the development of the retirement benefits industry. So currently we are in a 5-year implementation phase, and where the deductions are going to increase with each and every coming year. So at the 5th year, we are likely to have a situation where the employers are going to just, resort to, meeting the bare minimum in terms of participating in the NSSF scheme. And that is going to kill the private pension schemes. So maybe it's something that needs to be looked into, such that so long as an employer can demonstrate that they have, made arrangements to have a retirement scheme or a retirement benefits plan for its employees, then it should be, they should be given a chance to either choose to participate within the statutory scheme, or you participate in your private retirement benefit scheme. So that needs to be looked into so that the pension industry continues with the growth that currently it is experiencing.
All right, thank you so much, Jackson, for joining us today. We've come to the end of business today, and we were talking about the state of pensions in Kenya. And right now, we just have to finish right there. Remember, Mbiu ya KTN is coming up next. My name is Kelvin Nyakundi. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.